Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, and a big thank you to Lee Owen Roberts for his email. He doesn't say where he is from, so maybe he's an international man of mystery, but he does say a big thank you for the show. And he says, Neil, I love the eclectic mix of guests, and the fact you managed to find such a widespread range of people every day, every week and every month is remarkable. Thanks, Lee. You are a gentleman, sir. I must admit, covering so many topics makes my head want to explode some days, but I'm not going to lie, I do love what I do. Lee also went on to say that he left a review on iTunes, so I salute you for that, my friend. But as you didn't say where you were from, I can't check it because our friends at Apple seem to split up reviews per country. So essentially you have to enter iTunes under each individual country just to check them out. Now, I know I've had 82 reviews in the US and around 23 in the UK, but I have to admit, outside of that, I'm not sure. Speaking of which, why do I have many more US reviews than I do UK? Come on, gang, don't let your friendly podcast host let you down. If you are listening, though, why not send a quick review and make me smile, make it a witty, amusing review, or cry, depending on your mindset, of course. But enough for me. Today, I want to talk to the guys from Openpath. Now, Openpath is a company that's focusing on bringing those IoT solutions that consumers enjoy at home, but bring them into the workplace. And Alex Kazerani, he's the CEO, and James Segil, president, both of them together founded Openpath after successfully launching and scaling 4 other ventures together. So I invited James and Alex onto the show to speak about the future of the workplace and help us understand how technology is an integral part in increasing productivity and overall employee experience. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to California so we can speak with James and Alex from Openpath. So a massive warm welcome to the show, guys. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. This is Alex, Kazerani and James Segil. We have been building some amazing companies in the Los Angeles area for the past 20 years, all in the technology sector, security, and content delivery. And we're really in the process of building all these companies. We really found a challenge with access control to handle our employees who can come to the office when, where. And that's why we put out to build Openpath in order to modernize the access control experience.
Yeah, most people don't really think about access control, right? These are just the badges that you use to get in your office or the keys. But we found with all the offices we had all over the world for different companies, it was so frustrating. We had 10 or 11 badges we carry with us and try to figure out which one is right. And, lots of our friends had, a whole big ring full of keys. And it just seemed like nobody had taken technologies like mobile and cloud and applied them to this industry. And so we saw that as a big opportunity.
And there's nothing worse, is there, than being that guy whose pass suddenly stops working, then you have to go and queue somewhere, and then they have to reinitialize the pass, you have to test it 3 or 4 times. It does feel a little bit, it's more from our analog times and digital times, doesn't it?
It sure does. Losing badges, forgetting to bring badges, and then sometimes you don't even know if you lost it or you just forgot it at home, so you're embarrassed to go and say your badge was lost. So you wait a few days, you borrow your friend's badges. It's just from a security and management standpoint, both for the user and for the company, it's a total mess.
Yeah, the worst is when someone sort of leaves the company or maybe they're being let go, and you have to kind of do that walk where you have to badge them out. You then have to follow them out to get out of the parking. And then as they're driving off, you got to get the badge back. It's just awful in every possible way.
Yeah, the whole give me a badge and gun thing is never a good thing. Maybe not the gun, but you guys have a fascinating backstory as well, and somewhat of a dynamic duo. I mean, can you tell the listeners more about how Openpath came after successfully launching and scaling not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 other ventures?
So, we've been doing business together, Alex and I, and the rest of the team as well, for more than 20 years now. Yeah. We started off in the web hosting space, so helping people, build websites and make sure that they're up and running. And so in every business that we've done since then, customer support software, content delivery network, which is streaming of video and making sure also web infrastructure is up and safe and secure with cybersecurity technology. It's always been about performance, reliability, making sure that things ran smoothly, 100% of the time. And so this was kind of a natural fit for us, right? Getting into another business where people depend on this to work all the time. It can't fail, and reliability, performance, speed are things that sort of are critical to it.
It's a simple task, but it needs to work every single time, and it needs to be frictionless. And we saw a really amazing opportunity because our homes were getting so smart, but our office wasn't smart. And we're spending 8 or 10 hours a day at work. So we really wanted to create that smarter office with IoT devices that are cloud-based, cloud-managed, secure, reliable, and that, as James said, they always work.
Yeah, it was a fun process actually coming up with the idea because we kind of got the band back together after the last venture and decided that we wanted to do something else and looked at all the pain points that we had experienced. And actually, there were more than just access control. And we vetted a couple of different ideas and figured out that this was really the biggest opportunity. But I think the reason we're back together as a team is that, we really like working together. And actually, the rest of the team are all folks that we've been working with for many years as well. So it's just nice, when you find a groove with folks as an entrepreneur, you're sort of, it's a lonely world to be in, right? And so when you find a team and partners that you can depend on and rely on, that's something really special, and you want to keep that going.
I'm glad you brought up the contrast there between our home life and office life, because I think more and more now, especially in our homes, we can talk to Alexa, Siri or Google Home, manage our heating, our lighting, our entertainment, and then you go into the office the next day and it's almost like stepping back in time 20 years, isn't it?
That's exactly how we felt. Literally, it was stepping back in time, and it started at the entrance. And what we figured is if we can control the access in a more frictionless, modern way, now we can manage state. We know who's in the office and who's not. And based on that info and telemetry, we can apply it to a lot of smart technologies. And the pain points for office is very different than at home, because at home there's less number of folks in a space, and in the office you might have hundreds of people with different needs. So, but by controlling access, you have firsthand knowledge of, who walked in. Maybe the alarm needs to be turned off when they walked in. Maybe the lights need to turn on, and maybe the HVAC needs to come in. So there's so much you could do, and we're so excited about that.
Yeah, one other thing to think about is there are a lot of business problems that people are trying to solve using a mobile phone. But when you look at the difference between a problem that is sort of a nice to have versus a must have, access becomes one of the only things that's a must have. So if you want to get people to really start using their phone as a part of their business life beyond just talking and communicating, but how they sort of come and go, how they adjust the lights, how they adjust the temperature, how they interact from a security perspective, you have to start with access, because it really is the most important thing. It's that first thing you do. It welcomes you into the office. It allows you to get into where you want to go. And the phone and access are so tightly tied together.
So for anyone that's listening to us talk here and hearing about Openpath for the very first time, can you just tell me a little bit more about how you're helping businesses use technology to bring access control into the 21st century?
Sure. So when we looked at this problem and we analyzed other people that have tried to bring mobile to work, as James said, to their workplace, and we tried to see what are other people doing right and what are they doing wrong, what are they missing, and why is user adoption not happening as fast. We really looked at why is this industry so far behind, and we saw that as an opportunity. So the way we handle access is really interesting, because as long as you have the app installed, whether it's running or not, whether it's in the background, in the foreground, or it doesn't even matter, you can walk to an entry, you can wave at the reader or touch the reader if you want to just tell it, hey, I'm here. The reader automatically behind the scenes talks to the phone and unlocks the door seamlessly. So without losing a stride, without digging in your pocket looking for that key, that badge, that phone, without even having to unlock it and bring it out, you can literally get authenticated in a secure and encrypted manner and enter the office. And for us, that was really important. But in surveying companies, we also noted that they have infrastructure that is highly sensitive or very secure, like their IT, data center, closet, or maybe their finance department or what have you. So we made it so that you have to use a two-factor authentication to gain access to those entries. So we could use the phone's camera or fingerprint ID in addition to you just having a phone, which is similar to having a badge, as a form of authentication to gain access. And we made this process really frictionless because we integrate with the directory services and everything that a business might have. So we have had customers with hundreds of employees that have gone live in under 30 minutes post-install.
Yeah, and so to Alex's point, when we offer this solution, it's really very appropriate for any business owner who wants to be able to, lock their door. Anybody who today is going out and buying a badge or key card system. It's also appropriate for property owners, and they're deploying these across all different kinds of commercial properties. And because we built these integrations for our cloud software with the enterprise apps that you use today to run your business, whether it's Active Directory or G Suite or even communications tools like Slack, the whole goal there is to make it so easy to adopt and integrate into your business process that as easy as we've made it for you to walk up to the door and get in, it should be that easy for it to just basically snap right into your business and the automation that you've already got in place.
So I'm curious, how do you envision the future of the workplace? And can you almost paint a picture of how technology will be an integral part of not only increasing productivity, but also the overall employee experience?
Yeah, so we really think that we use this example. Many years ago, you might have coffee or soda, and now you can walk into a Starbucks and get a skinny vanilla latte, half sugar, half whatever, skim milk mix, right? So the world has become really personalized. From your coffee, or maybe when you're ordering a Tesla and you're customizing the last minute detail of a $100,000 car before you take delivery. And we think the workplace needs to also be personalized around the user. So we really believe there is a lot more wireless IoT devices that are cloud-enabled within the workplace. We think mobile will play a very big role, cloud, of course. And we're always exploring biometrics and what face, finger, eye can do in terms of authorizations and passwords, so you don't even have to carry any devices. And then what we're focused on is state, which for us is who is in the office, who's not in the office, and do systems need to run that cost the company money, and how can we create a greener environment if HVACs can turn off because everybody had to leave early that Friday afternoon.
Yeah, it also helps on a security level as well. Imagine that, you have some kind of emergency happening in the office, and because everyone is connected on the phone, you can tell, who's in the stairwell, who's in the conference room, who's on the first floor, who's actually in the office versus who was home sick that day. And so from a company's perspective, when you really want to secure and take care of your people, know that in the case of an emergency, if there's an earthquake, a tornado, a flood, or something else happening, you can really have a good sense of where your people are and how to protect them.
Now, when I was researching you guys, I quickly discovered that Openpath employees can ditch their key cards and instead access their workspace with just their smartphone, which is impressive on its own. But then I also read all without even removing the phone from their pocket. I mean, can you just expand on that a little?
We call this concept thought cycles. So just like on the internet, you have number of clicks before you purchase, and Amazon talks about one-click purchasing, and it really streamlines the process and creates adoption. We thought about how many thought cycles does it take for somebody to enter the office? And when we measured that with key cards, it takes 3 thought cycles. Where are my keys? Pull it out of my pocket, swipe it against the reader, and which is actually easier than regular old metal keys. With phone, if you have to pull the phone out of your pocket, if you have to unlock the phone, if you have to go to the home screen, find the app, click on an entry, and open the door, there are more thought cycles than just swiping a badge. So when we started measuring these, even though we had an amazing technology to unlock the door, we realized that people tend to go back to swiping the keys.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the big reasons why other solutions in this market haven't gotten market penetration, have not been adopted, because they kind of stopped there.
That's right. So we wanted our system to be frictionless and to literally use less thought cycles than swiping a key, a badge, if you will. So when we created Touch, we created it in such a way that if your phone is locked and it's on you in your purse, in your pocket, in your briefcase, and you're walking to the door, you can literally wave at the reader and enter. And the minute we did that, we started testing it across hundreds of users in 8 different companies that were in our beta program. And the employees had their badges that they've been using for dozens of years, and they had their phone in their pocket. And within 2 or 3 days, we saw the phone adoption, and we saw them not use the badge anymore. And that's when we knew, that's it, we got it. This is how the future can work. And then we had to go and build a lot of technology around making sure that this works every time. And even if your phone got restarted the night before due to a software upgrade, even if your app is not running in the background, for it to constantly work so that employees have that experience every day of the week, not just a couple of the days.
Right. Well, so when you're rolling out new technology like this, that is this breakthrough, right? You want the adoption to be, rather seamless without much friction. So even though it works really well and somebody sort of comes up and tries it, if it fails 2 out of 10 times, they're going to go back to the old method that they were comfortable with. So we really had to harden this and knock it down so that it would be super reliable. And again, that's our history, right? We build reliable infrastructure that makes sure that websites are up 24/7. We do the same with the phone technology here for access.
And am I also right in saying that users can actually text or Slack visitors a guest pass just to grant them a temporary access to the office?
Yeah, so that's a pretty great feature, and it gives a lot of flexibility to users in almost any business scenario. So if somebody's coming by your office for a visit or an interview, you can send them via your mobile phone a quick and easy to use guest pass. And what it is you click a button on your phone that says choose the time. So you say the specific date and the specific time frame. It could be for an hour, a half a day, 2 days, a month, however long you want. And you just simply email it or text message it from your phone to that individual. They receive a web link, and they click on that web link and allows them to click that button on the link via their smartphone and unlock the door, so that user now has access on their mobile phone but does not have to download the app and become one of the users who actually have full-time credentials. So it's great for visitors, vendors, part-time contractors, or anyone of the like.
But that really cuts down on the admin time as well, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. There's no waiting at the visitor desk to get your badge and sort of, sign in. All of that sort of friction is gone.
We actually had a CEO that called us thanking us so much because he had a board meeting that day, but his board member's flight landed early and the board members showed up at the office around 7 a.m. but could not get in. So the board member called him and he just sent the board member a guest pass. And the board member could come in, make himself coffee, take advantage of the amenities. And he was like, you guys just saved my life. It was such a pleasant experience as opposed to having a board member in a bad mood. So for people, it could really impact their business.
Yeah, no need to have a lockbox anymore. I mean, that frustrates me. I remember when we were looking at commercial real estate here to look for an office, there's constant, you show up, the broker doesn't show up, the property manager doesn't show up. So they've got a little lockbox there. Nobody has the key code to get in, to get the key to open the door. And it's just so frustrating. And this is just the solution for that.
So beyond the convenience of smartphone access and the fact that it's incredibly cool and it cuts down on the admin time, are there any other benefits that it offers businesses?
Oh, yeah. So just think about visibility, right? Being able to really understand the comings and goings of people in a real-time way. So from a security posture, you have a security guard who's sitting at the desk who can visually validate the person who enters. So with our system, we have a dashboard so that when you walk in, James, for instance, walks in the door and he just credentialed in. He walks past, the security guard sees a picture of me pop up on the screen and validates that I am indeed the one with the credential who just came in. He says, "Good morning, James," and there you go. So imagine if somebody walked by and was using a credential that wasn't theirs. Now there's a real-time opportunity for that person to see the picture, and the security guard's like, hey, wait a minute, you're not James. Come on over here. And so that's just one of the things. Another thing that's kind of cool is because of the integrations with all of the different cloud apps we have, people have found ways to use this technology that we didn't even think of. So the integration, for instance, with Slack, which is a great communications tool, is something that some of the engineers came up with because they had deliveries that would show up at the door, and they didn't want to get up from their desk to go open the door. And so basically when they heard they got an alert that someone's at the door, they just sent a Slack command on the communication channel, and the door unlocks, and then the DoorDash guy basically come in with their lunch. And so these are the kind of great things that you can do with really flexible technology like this.
So do you have any use cases that will actually show a before and after picture of how your new system actually seamlessly integrates with platforms such as G Suite, Slack, Office 365, and how Openpath has been received by both managers and staff?
Sure, we have many examples of this. One company comes to mind. They're called Catchpoint. They're in New York, a couple hundred employees. They had their system installed on a Monday, and we were a little bit surprised because sometimes people do these cutovers over the weekend, and they weren't concerned about it. And literally, imagine in the old world, they would have to walk to every single employee, give them a badge, write down the badge number, make him sign that they got the badge or what have you, and doing this a couple hundred times, and how frustrating it could have been. And then some employees are not there to collect their badge. Some employees are on a trip or on vacation or out sick. So it would have been a mess because the next day they couldn't have walked into work, right? These guys literally, once the system was set up, they did the integration with Office 365. All the users got synced into our system within seconds. Then with one click, they notified all the users to download the mobile app, and they received their token credentials. And within 30 minutes, they were live, and people were just coming and going through the front door. And they have actually many doors around their buildings and offices. But it was an amazing, seamless onboarding experience. And literally the CEO, when he called us, he said, this has changed our office culture, our office environment. It's just, we're a different company because this is a little task that we do so many times a day, and we feel so great when we use touch to enter, and it's just an amazing experience.
Well, it really seems that you guys are killing the key card and enabling staff to use their phone to enter the workplace, and the technology, most importantly, is almost invisible. But I mean, where do you go from here? What's next for Openpath?
Well, there's a lot more that we can do once you kind of have that real estate, right? Once you have employees using a mobile app for access on a day-to-day basis, it's kind of limitless. So for us, it's about extending the capabilities of the access control into more functionality within the office. And we have a robust set of APIs available in the cloud to integrate with a host of different things. So whether it's a video doorbell that you integrate with, a video surveillance system, an alarm system, HVAC for heating and cooling control or lighting, all kinds of different sort of space optimization and conference room management systems, and even visitor management. These are all opportunities for people to improve the quality of the day-to-day workday for someone and use the mobile experience to improve it.
And while we're doing this, we're really concerned about people's privacy and their data. So we're being very, but we're B2B. We're not leveraging data for advertising or anything of such, but we're being very respectful of employees and their privacy because they're trusting us by installing a mobile app on their phone, and we want to really make sure that their trust is well placed.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point there, Alex, because when Neil mentioned killing the key card, there is an appropriate time for people to be using key cards. There are some people who want to be able to just use a key card or a fob, and that's great. We support that. We have phenomenally secured and encrypted key cards that we have with our system. What we found is there are people who really prefer that, and they like having maybe the mobile app on their phone as a backup, but they like using the key card and the fob, and God bless them, that's great. Our whole perspective is we want to offer the best, most modern access control system that meets the access needs of everyone. So if you want to use a fob, you want to use a key card, or you want to use your phone, or all three, you can with our system. We're completely integrated with cards and fobs.
And it's just that we noticed that people having both, they migrate to the phone within days and they never look back. But that's not 100% of the time. That's in the 90x% right now. So, and that's okay.
Now, we do have people listening all over the world today, so I just wanted to check. Do you only serve the US at the moment? And if you do, is that going to change at any point?
Yeah, at the moment we do only serve the US, but that will be changing shortly.
Yes, Europe and Canada are next. We're just working through compliance and import-export process. As soon as we could do that with the help of our integrators over in Europe and Canada, we're going to be deploying and installing in those countries as well.
Excellent. Well, before I let you go, could I just ask that you remind the listeners of where they can find you online and also maybe contact a member of your team if they have any additional questions?
Sure. So the website is openpath.com, openpath.com. And you can email us, sales@openpath or info@openpath.com. We're here all the time, and we're looking forward to working with anyone who wants to upgrade their access experience to a mobile and cloud-based one.
Well, when I look at technology-based solutions, I see too many times now that people seem to add, or the technology solution adds thought cycles and adds learning curve. So I love how you've completely removed those and lessened the thought cycles and essentially made the technology invisible, because we've all got our phone and we all know if we can walk past somewhere with our phone in our pocket because we never leave it behind, do we? It's just a great thing. So a big thank you for coming on today.
We appreciate the time.
Thanks, Neil.
I have a confession to make. In my former corporate life, I was a forgetful guy and either left my staff pass on my desk or even worse at home. So I love the fact that Openpath employees can ditch their keycards and instead access their workplace with their smartphone without even having to remove it from their pocket. But let's be honest, our phone is never in our pocket. And we might forget our staff pass, but we seldom forget our phone, right? But beyond just the convenience of smartphone access, Openpath also grants office managers access to better metrics on how the office space is used. But what did you think of today's conversation? As always, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. And if you are thinking of launching your own podcast in the next 6 months or so, sign up for my free session at the Life by Design, Not by Default Virtual Summit and support your podcast host there as well. I think it kicks off on September the 12th and I'm up on September the 13th. But I'll include all the links on the show notes. But pretty much I'll be talking about helping businesses and individuals on how easy it is to launch a podcast by forgetting learning curves, tech knowledge and the time constraints, and show you how easy it can actually be. So a big thank you to both James and Alex for joining me today, and an even bigger thank you to you guys for listening. But until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.